package in the mail, MSX games from Japan. Collecting without fail those shoot 'em ups, that's the plan. He doesn't just collect them, he also codes them too. Join us and we'll go on electric adventures with
Hey YouTube, Electric Adventures here with my monthly channel update for February 2020. Months sure do tick by quickly. A bit of an interesting month for myself. We had some holidays and things like that. We went over to Melbourne specifically to go watch the Queen and Adam Lambert concert, and while we were over there we went and saw a couple of other things. Now the actual Queen and Adam Lambert concert was very good. My daughter got a set of drumsticks and we got the program on to show a picture up there. My phone was unfortunately a little bit flat by the time I got there, so I don't have a lot of pictures from that particular thing. And one of the reasons why the pictures were, my phone was flat, was we went to a place called Artvo, and that's where they basically have rooms full of paintings that are painted on the wall, and you've got to stand or lay or position yourself in the pictures, and then you take pictures from a particular angle. And it's actually quite a fun concept, and we had a bit of fun there, so I'll just show a couple of pictures from that. We also went to the Melbourne Zoo, and one of the favourite things my daughter enjoyed in there was they have a butterfly room. We also went and saw Shrek the musical on its second night down here, so this is all in Melbourne. Really enjoyed that, and we also went to the EB Games store there, and they had a dedicated Nintendo section. And it was actually quite impressive, because down here in Hobart we've got a couple of EB Games stores, and they have, as an example, a few Switch titles on display, but we know they don't have all the titles that are available, because we see so many of you other people online showing up all these games for the Switch, and we always go, well, where are these games? Now, I'm not particularly into the Switch myself, although I have bought the occasional more 8-bit or shoot-'em-up type titles for it, and I borrow my daughter's, but my youngest daughter actually quite enjoys it, but is always looking for games that she particularly likes. And it was actually quite nice to actually have a proper good range of games in a particular store that she could have a look through. Although at the end of the day she didn't end up spending her pocket money on that, she bought some clothes, but at least she knows it's there, and we will get back there in the future. And even I can always order some of those titles online now that she's had a look at them and knows they're out there. So we'll just do a quick little insert here, and we'll just do a very quick walk around the Nintendo store. Alright, so we had lots of fun. As I said, it's not really, the Nintendo store's retro gaming, the rest of it was just a bit of a family holiday. I do have a couple of pickups. So the first things are books. So I basically, on my Amazon book feed, this particular book popped up. So it's an arcade typography book by Toshi Amagari, so arcade game typography, and it has the different, hold this open without damaging the spine, so it talks about all different arcade games and their particular history to the the type that was used in that game, because a lot of the old arcade games actually use the same character sets, because they're 8-bit character sets. So it's interesting how some evolved, and one more popular ones is the Atari, one of the original Atari fonts. So as an example here, it covers the evolution of some fonts there where they're starting to introduce colour to add a bit of depth. And then you've got the earlier ones. Sorry, just looking up one. Here we go, so the earlier ones. So as an example, one here, this one here is called Monster Bash, and it's almost identical to the font used in Galaxian. And the Galaxian font is a font that's used in a lot of different places. So it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm particularly interested in arcades and, of course, programming myself, arcade conversions of arcade games for the 8-bit systems. So it's actually, in my mind, a very useful book for myself, and it was actually quite a good read. The amount, the text that associated with some of the things, and it's properly researched, and it was just a very good book. Now, as part of these things, you get these offers, and they offer free freight if you spend over a certain amount. This book was on special, it wasn't enough, so I hunted around for another book, and I came across this one. So, Nostalgia Nerds Retro Tech, so computers, consoles and games, and it is actually, it's a nice little hardback, and it's laid out quite nicely, and it's got a few systems that it covers that were quite interesting, and in general it's reasonably well written. There are a couple of errors in the book though, so they have the wrong picture for the wrong system on a couple of occasions, which is there we go, I've actually got it open to the page. So on the TRS-80 colour computer we have a picture of the original TRS-80. So not a lot of checking was done. There are also disappointingly a couple of minor fact errors, but other than that they're not that annoying. They're actually only very minor things. They've just done a couple of systems, so maybe a little bit more checking would have made it an even better book, but it's not very expensive, and it's actually got some quite nice photos in there and system information, and it reads and is written reasonably well. So it's not a 5 out of 5 star rating for me. I'd probably give it a 4, but I still enjoyed it, and I actually, it's a welcome addition to my retro book collection that I have, and I enjoyed reading it. So that's all you really want from these things. Now I have one more thing. So I was lucky enough, and this is not really retro gaming associated, but it's more, I know a lot of people who are into retro gaming are also interested in space and what is happening here. You've got all these different companies providing launch vehicles into space. We have a new, very soon, the very first crewed SpaceX mission, which will go to the space station. And I've always been a very strong space advocate and space person myself, and been following all of the news. Now, what people mightn't realise that in Australia, we've sort of, haven't really done much with the rest of the space agencies around the world. We've done some bits and pieces on a state-by-state basis, but we haven't had an Australian space agency for a very long time. But last year, we made a new agency called the Australian Space Agency, and they've been doing consultation around Australia, and I was lucky enough to be involved in those consultation programs. And the program they're talking about is the Moon to Mars program. So it's what can Australian businesses help provide all of the agencies that are working towards eventually sending humans to Mars and to the Moon and then Mars. So it was just very flattering to be included in that process and to be able to go along, and it was very interesting, and I met some very good people. I also got a couple of these. I've given one to my daughter. I'll try and put that as close as I can so you guys see. So I don't really have a jacket that I wear on a regular basis to attach the pin to. My daughter's got it on her school jacket, but I've got to find something so I won't lose that. So that's my Australian Space Agency pin. And I hope to be involved in all that in the future. It's not I mean, it's not directly aligned with my job, but it's something that I'm interested in. So let's see what happens. And it was just a fun thing to be involved in and find out more information. And you never know where it may lead to in the future. So, and it's just nice that Australia is being involved. Alright, so probably only one more thing in this video. So I said really not a lot of pickups because I was mainly on holidays and things like that. There's my silly dog barks at somebody running past the house. But I have been doing a lot of homebrew programming. Do this in reverse order of when I've released information. So the last one that I've just been working on the last couple of days is my version, my game called Cavern Fighter for the Colecovision. Now this is a game that I actually started writing in all the way back in 1990 and never finished. It was originally going to be released for the original Spectravideo and MSX, and I will be doing releases of it for that later. But obviously there is a bit more of a homebrew market for Colecovision. Now I converted that code across to the Colecovision, and because it's a side-scrolling game with a lot of detail, it uses a lot of RAM, and the Coleco only has 1K of RAM. So originally I got it running with a ColecoVision, but with either the Super Game module plugged in or on a Coleco add-in, because the Coleco add-in allows you to have 32K of RAM and the Super Game module adds 32K of RAM. The Super Game module also adds the MSX sound chip as well, allowing you, better sound. But my aim with this, I was always wanting to see if I could get it to run on a standard Colecovision. So I completely rewrote its scrolling engine, saved I think 64 bytes from my screen buffer, merged a whole lot of other buffers and reused a lot of variables, and I got it working. Basically I managed to remove another 6 bytes of RAM at one stage, and then all of a sudden I've got it working and it works stably. I've subsequently to that gone through and tidied up a few more things and fixed a few more bugs, so it's actually very, very close. Now I've done a bit of a video playthrough, which I'll show a little bit of footage up here while I'm talking about it, but I'll put a link down below. It's actually the video previous to this one that I published, which shows a bit more gameplay, and it's very, very close. Now I'm currently still using the built-in Coleco operating system sound routines, which do actually use a lot of RAM. So at the moment I can only play 2 effects at once, which is a little bit of a limit. If you think about it, if you're shooting, you need to shoot sound, and it would be nice if the bombs, when they dropped, made a sound, but that's already 2 sounds. What if you want to make an explosion? That's a 3rd sound. So it's very limiting at the moment. So the sounds are coming out, but if I've got sounds at the same priority, they overwrite the others. So as an example, you're not really hearing the bombs dropping. When you get to the UFO stage, the sound of the UFOs, which is, I feel very key to the game, keeps on getting stopped all the time by another sound taking over that channel. So I have 22 bytes of RAM that I'm going to write my own sound routine that will allow more channels. So a little jump cut there. It was tea time. Anyway, I believe I was talking about Cavern Fighter and fitting it into 1K on an original ColecoVision. And talking about, yes, so I still want to rewrite the sound so I can have those multiple sound effects going, just to make the game sound a bit more like the original arcade game, which of course Cavern Fighter, Scramble, yes, that's what it's based on. And it's looking pretty good. I'm very pleased with it. There's probably some extra special effects like explosions and stuff like that, which some people have pointed out. It will all depend on whether I have any RAM left to do the state of those things. Unfortunately, animation sequences require at least 1 state variable for these things, and that requires RAM. I have 0 bytes of RAM at the moment, but I'm going to investigate, because I'm hardly using any of the Coleco OS calls, so some of them have RAM set aside for them, so I might be able to actually steal that RAM. Now as to the other one, earlier in the month I was, until I got distracted by, so I went back to working on Cavern Fighter because some of my beta testers came back to me with some bugs. I started working on some of those bugs, and that's when I realised I could get it perhaps working on the original ColecoVision, so then I went for it. So, sorry, another little jump cut, I sneezed. Yeah, so the other thing I was working on this month was my port of the arcade game Berzerk to the original Colecovision. No expansion required for this one. That is working very well. Speech is working, sound effects are working really nice. I still have to do robots shooting and a little bit of tweaking of collision detection. There's a couple of little boundary errors there. You've just done at the moment. They're just using straight boxes, but some of the you've got to adjust some of those depending on some of the size of the options. So you're just tweaking really, and that one will be just about done. So it's progressing quite nicely. So a little bit of video here. I'll probably do another proper update video of that probably in about a week's time. And for those of you who backed the Sydney Hunter and the Caverns of Death Kickstarter and ticked the NES game option, yes, that has been on my head. It has been a long development process, but if you look at it, I'm porting a game that was designed for the Super Nintendo back into the original Nintendo, and there are certain limits to that, but I am trying to get it as close as I can. It is very close. I haven't done any work on it this month, but I'm trying to get these other games out of the way, so I'm not jumping between multiple things. And as soon as I get these two out of the way, I'll be fully 100% focused on getting Caverns of Death finished off. I've got so there are 10 levels. I've done all of the level layouts, all of the maps are working. I have a little bit of character animation to put in when Sydney climbs up a rope. I have to put all the objects into levels 6 through 10 and finish up a couple of the puzzle logic parts. They're sort of manually programmed in rather than engine based. They use the same engine components, and I have a couple of bugs to fix with some screen refreshers and things like that, but that itself is actually very, very close. It just needs time and focus, and I've been doing a lot more programming lately, which is great. But as I said, I'm trying to get things knocked off, because one of the things I suffer from is getting distracted with having too many things. So I'm trying to finish off things one thing at a time and get them clear and done and settled. So hopefully, if you're a little bit more patience, all of those games will come out, and then I can move on to the next one, because I've got another layer of homebrew games that are at much earlier stages that I've started and haven't progressed. So I'd like to get all these ones done and then move on to the next one. And I said basically move on to these, finish a game and move on to the next one, trying not to start so many projects and trying to finish some. So other than that, everybody is well. I hope everybody is well out there. There's of course the coronavirus doing the rounds at the moment, so I hope everybody is staying safe out there. Now there's another Friday Foursome from Novabug, but I'm going to do it's on arcades, your favourite, not your favourite, the games you played in the arcades the most back in the day. And because it's arcades and I really like arcades, I'm going to make a specific video response to that one, so that'll probably be hopefully my next video after this one. But I want to do a bit of gameplay and stuff like that, have a bit of fun with that one. But in the meantime, put a link down to Novabugs' video down below. More people who take part, the more fun it is, and it's good that he's brought that series back. So I just thought I'd give a quick mention of that one. Alright, I hope everybody out there, once again, continued health, stay away from that nasty virus. I hope everybody and their family members stay safe. I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.